My name is Masato Indou. This will serve as my final report regarding CC Corp, and the events that have shaped the world beneath the surface. What follows is a record, not only of the company's failings, but the individuals who've become entangled in the digital maelstrom we now refer to as the internet crises. Though many would place the blame squarely on my shoulders, even for incidences far removed from my involvement, I have no interest in rewriting the narrative to clear my name. Let them believe what they will. What matters now is the truth, or, at least, what remains of it. Effective immediately, I am stepping away from the Network Administration Bureau. What I leave behind is not an accusation, but a final observation. This report concerns the one who stands at the center of all during the third internet crisis, the one whose persistence shaped the course of events more than any other, Ryou Misaki. There was a time, before the titles and the legends, before the chaos he would one day carry like a crown. His name was Ryou Misaki, but that name meant little in the world. In the eyes of most, he was just another player, young, brash, a fourth grader, barely old enough to understand the systems he danced through. And yet, there he was, masked behind the avatar of Sora, a twin blade who wielded swords sharper than his daggers. He wasn't like the others. He didn't log in to escape. He logged in to hunt, for meaning, for power, for something unspoken. He tangled often with Krim, a seasoned warrior, one of the Crimson Knights. There was no real hatred there, only challenge, the kind that burns into rivalry without ever saying so. And always, Sora was chasing a myth, the key of the Twilight, a truth wrapped in rumor, buried in code. Funny. How many of us were chasing that same illusion? But unlike the rest, Sora had no illusions of heroism. When Tsukasa was captured, Sora broke the rules, as he often did, and set him free. Not for friendship, not for glory, but because Tsukasa was close. Too close to something. Sora saw it, and like a moth to the flame, he followed. He played every side, made pacts he never intended to honor. BT, Silver Knight, Helba. He whispered secrets, traded favors, and disappeared into the shadows. He wasn't a villain. He was curious, restless, dangerous only in the way a child with a knife might be, unaware of the blood he could draw. And when the moment came, when he found her, Aura, asleep within Morgana's lair, he believed he had won. But the world does not reward recklessness. In betrayal, there's irony. He turned on Morgana, thought he was clever, thought he could outplay the system. He was wrong. In an instant, Sora was silenced, his body locked within himself, his soul sealed inside a wand, forgotten by the game he had once sought to dominate. No cheers, no recognition, just quiet. In his place was the manifestation of death, Scathe. They say the key of the Twilight unlocks truth, but for Sora, it opened the door to oblivion. "7 years passed. Most people assumed that time was enough to bury the past, to erase what came before. But the truth is, some things don't stay buried, they wait. When Ryou Misaki awoke from his coma, he remembered nothing of the world. Not Tsukasa, not Aura, not Scathe. His parents ensured it remained that way. To them, Forgetting was easier than confronting what had been lost. And so, the boy once called Sora disappeared. In his place was a teenager, ordinary in every visible way, a sophomore attending a prestigious high school in Tokyo, the heir to a corporate empire, living alone in the city, and perhaps still haunted by something he could not name. It wasn't fate that brought him back to the world. It was something more mundane, a conversation. A friend who had mentioned the new version, the World R2, a spark of curiosity. That's all it took. The character known as Haseo was born in that moment. A clean slate, no memories, no shadows of the past. He entered the game blind, and almost immediately found himself outnumbered by player killers. It would have ended there, had I not intervened. I was Ovan then, just another player. But even so, I saw something in him, something buried like a dormant fire, so I extended a hand. Through my guidance and the gentle push of a player named Philo, he joined our guild, the Twilight Brigade. He met Tabby, full of naive optimism, and Shino, who would come to matter more than he expected or was ready for. But peace in the world was temporary. The brigade came into contact with Tan, a powerful and secretive guild. Haseo tried to prevent the inevitable through his connection with Toraya, a high-ranking member of Tan. It was a noble effort, but doomed. As Corey bought her battlefield, it all came to head. We won, but I vanished. Without its leader, the brigade crumbled. Only Shino remained, and Haseo stayed by her side. Their bond grew, and then in a single moment, it was severed. Triage. A name whispered like a ghost. He struck Shino down at Hallgrounds Cathedral, and unlike any normal PK, she never woke up. In the real world, her body lay comatose, just like his all those years ago. And with that, something changed in Haseo. He was no longer searching for a game. He was searching for revenge. He entered the Forest of Pain, a trial most would not survive, and there he encountered someone. Harold Horwick, the architect behind everything. Whether Harold gave him power, or simply unlocked what was already within is unclear. What followed was undeniable. Haseo began cutting down PKers with a single-minded brutality. 100 kills in a single day. The world began to fear him, calling him the Terror of Death. A fitting name, though it did not belong to him, not truly. 8 months passed. The boy who once sought answers had become a blade honed by grief, lashing out at the only world he could control. Haseo hunted PKers with no restraint. Every swing of his weapon, every kill, was a question hurled at each player. Do you know Triage? One day, that anger found Bordeaux, a PKer from the guild Kestrel. When she refused to answer him, he killed her. No hesitation, no remorse. In Makanu, he crossed paths with a player named Sakaki. Polite, political, dangerous beneath the surface. And beside him stood a girl, Atali. For a moment, Haseo mistook her for Shino. The resemblance was striking, but Sakaki dismissed the idea casually. A message pulled Haseo away before the conversation could go further. It was from me. As Ovan, I told him what he wanted to hear most. He arrived in a storm of memory, standing again where Shino had fallen, consumed by grief and fury. And then, he appeared. Triage. No words, just combat. Relentless, cold, perfect. Haseo gave everything, every strike, every ability, every ounce of his fury. But it wasn't enough. Data drain. A single pulse of light erased everything he was. When Haseo awoke, he was nothing. A shell. His emails, gone. His levels, reduced to level 1. His power, his titles, his past, all wiped clean. He was back to where it all began. And yet, he started again. This time, by chance, he met a pair of players, Syllabus and Gaspard, members of the small guild Canard. They mocked his claim of being the terror of death, but the truth came crashing in when Bordeaux returned with a vengeance. She nearly killed them, until Pi arrived. She wasn't like the others. She saw something in Haseo. Not just a player, not just a name. Something within his character, waiting. Through her, and through Atali, still clinging to the ideals Haseo had forgotten, he began to see the world was changing. Not just because of Triage, but because of AIDA. Corruption, infection, something alive and wrong. On a mission with Atali, they found a strange Triage sign. It pulled them into another layer of the game, where they faced Endurance, and saw AIDA for the first time. They would have died there, if not for Kun, and the avatar within him, Magus. And so Kun offered Haseo a choice, to join G.U and learn the truth. To find Triage. He agreed, reluctantly. The more he fought, the more he changed. He clashed with Matsu, Arcade, and even Entrance, this time revealing him as an AIDA-corrupted PC. Under Antares, he claimed his lost form, the Edge Punisher, and with it, a step towards becoming whole. But even so, revenge never slept. Atali, wanting to help, wanting to matter to him, went off alone, searching for Triage. G.U found her and traced her to a strange room, but they went alone, for Azure Kite appeared once more. They fought him and became victorious. His battle was shattered into data, but victory brought no peace, and Shino did not wake up. Though Triage was gone, something remained. And Haseo was left to ask a deeper question. If vengeance isn't the answer, what is? For a moment it felt like it was over. Azure Kite was defeated. Shino might still wake up. Maybe the pain has passed. But in the world, peace is only ever a prelude to another fall. And AIDA emerged, silent, fast, stole Atali's epitaph. Before anyone could react, it was gone. All the players were forced into a twisted reflection, a mirror server created by AIDA. No one could log out. G.U acted quickly. They transferred the players back to safety using the operations folder. But not everyone escaped unscathed. Atali's body in the real world could no longer move her arm. The infection had crossed over. The cracks were widening. Then came the next signal. The Holy Palace Emperor Sirius had been infected, twisted by the AIDA that had once belonged to Atali. With Endrance at his side, Haseo faced Sirius. Victory wasn't just for pride. It was the only way to reclaim Atali's epitaph. They won, but not without cost. Bordeaux struck again, this time corrupted by AIDA herself. Before the battle against Sirius, Alcade was slain by Bordeaux. There was no time to save her, no way to stop it. Alcade collapsed into Haseo's arms, her body slowly fading away. Another lost one, just like Shino. Revenge flared in Haseo's heart, but this time it had a name. Sakaki. He had been the one pulling Bordeaux's strings, and worse, he had used Atelier herself to infect Moontree, their at-home. It was now nothing but another AIDA nest. But G.U fought back, with Haseo leading the charge, and with Atelier's help, they defeated Sakaki. It should have ended there, but I wasn't done yet. I appeared once more to them. This time, I told the truth. This is the truth that you've been searching for. Not Azure Kite, not an urban legend. I was Tri-Edge. Every infection, every lost one, every step Sakaki took, all according to my design. Haseo and I fought, avatars against avatars, ideals against scars. But we were equals now. None of us could win. The game would continue. Because for Haseo, the journey was no longer about saving Shino. It had become something deeper, something neither of us fully understood yet. Power. That was what CC Corp wanted, and Sakaki had promised them control. Control over the AIDA, over G.U, over everything. And so they gave it to him. A crown of wires, a throne built on lies. But Haseo would not yield. To bring Sakaki down, he entered his corrupted PK tournament. He carved his way through chaos, through wave after wave of desperate players, until he reached Taihaku. But Taihaku wasn't himself. The AIDA was inside his blade, similar to Entrance's Mia. Another soul twisted into a weapon. Haseo fought and won against Taihaku, but it was left broken. Sakaki descended into the arena, smug and victorious, ready to end it all. And then, Haseo stood against him. Not alone, however. With his friends by his side, with every bond forged through pain and persistence, he rose. Together they shattered the AIDA inside Sakaki, and the tyrant fell. It was in this abyss they ended up finding his pursuers, his grim reapers. Deep within a hidden room, beside my sister Aina, I waited. Haseo arrived and we clashed. But it wasn't vengeance I sought. It was rebirth. Defeating me, Haseo, so that the world may be born anew. Korpanik, my avatar, carried a power none others did. A power to reset everything. To purge the AIDA, to cure Aina, to atone for my sins. But rebirth came at a price. The shockwave tore Haseo's avatar apart, left him dazed and unmoored. That's when Zelkova brought him to a quiet place. There, Skaith appeared, wearing the face of Sora, the shadow of another life. But Haseo did not falter. And with that, they fused once more. Haseo awakened with his X form, and Skaith evolved with him. But balance is fragile, and rebirth at a cost. It woke something else. Kubia, the shadow of the epitaphs. A nightmare given form, infecting not just the world, but the very internet itself. Haseo fought through it, through its endless show, through mirrored selves and twisted doppelgangers, and in the final clash, Haseo and I gave everything to stop it. Kubiya was erased. The world was saved once more. After everything, a message came through to Haseo. It was from Shino. She was waiting at the Hall Grand's Cathedral, where it all began. Haseo arrived, soon to be followed by Atali. But old wounds don't heal clean. Atali left, heartbroken, and Shino offered to rebuild the Twilight Brigade with Haseo. Just the two of them. But when Haseo said nothing, she had spoken a truth that Haseo already knew. Haseo did not run away, but he went towards Adderley, towards tomorrow. But life in the world did not end with Kubiya. Haseo kept playing, fighting the sweepstakers, meeting Kazubolo, and stepping further into the events of the world. Sinrahati, the force of pain. At the event's climax, Haseo encountered the one who had given him his third form, the digital echoes of Harold Horwick himself. A reminder that the world is more than just a game. It is a memory, it is hope, it is grief, and love. And to walk the path is to face all of that, and choose to keep going. The story of Ryou Misaki is one of growing up, learning the aspects of the life we are given, the cards that are dealt, and how we go about them. Some people end up going through just fine. Others, they have to follow consequences that they caused. As one final note in this document, I wish to offer my job to Ryou Misaki, with a message directed towards him. Continue to walk the path that is meant for you, without fear, for you are no longer alone.